Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy DJ Darkness in the building, and I'm coming here bringing you basically what you're looking at is my current main stage setup. I'm using two keyboards, a digital piano, Yamaha P Series digital piano, um, and my Novation controller, the SL Mark II. So the controller is my second board. All my controls, faders, knobs, pads, buttons, XY pad, everything is Mac. And everything has a purpose for the most part. It was pretty expensive and it took a while to do. And it's actually this is probably like the fourth or fifth incarnation of this layout. But anyway, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start one from scratch because I've gotten a lot of questions about different aspects of MainStage. So hopefully I intend to cover hopefully every step in this process. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start a new concert. Close this. I'm going to start a brand new concert and I'm going to start from scratch. I think for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the two keyboards template, and I'll show you guys exactly how we go about setting everything and mapping controls, mapping controllers, etc. All right, so here we go. All right, so here we are in the two keyboards template. It doesn't really matter too much because I'm gonna end up deleting a lot of this, and we're gonna start from scratch. But either way, I just wanted you to see exactly what it looks like where we're starting from. So you have three buttons in your top left-hand corner of your main stage window: your layout button, your edit button, and your perform button. Now, the layout screen, if you click that, it'll take you to the layout screen, and basically the layout screen is where you would map any controls that you have in real life to MainStage. So this allows MainStage to see what buttons and what knobs and what controllers and faders and etc. are actually on your keyboard or controller. All right. So what's going to happen is we're going to use the layout screen to do all of that, to map everything to MainStage. The edit screen is where you would map all your sounds and allow those real-time controllers that we're going to create to control different aspects of MainStage, of your instruments, of your plugins, of pretty much anything. And the performance mode is where it all comes together. All right, so let's get started. Here we are in layout mode. Like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I want to delete everything, and I'm going to start from scratch. Goodbye, everybody. All right. Oh no! What did he do? Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. All right. So here's how this works. My Novation controller has 8 faders, 16 knobs, a whole lot of buttons. I'm not going to do all of them right now, but what I am going to do is I'm going to map faders, knobs, and 2 keyboards. All right. So let's see. We have panel controls. MainStage is pretty much a 3D world, so panel controls are anything that's going to be vertically mounted, anything that's going on like a virtual wall. Shelf controls are going on your virtual desk, if that makes sense. It's like think of it as horizontal controls, vertical controls. So we'll start with some shelf controls. I'm going to add 2 keyboards. There we go. Now, as I mentioned, these white lines represent your virtual desk. All right. So now, if you grab the upper white line, that allows you to move the desk vertically. Okay. If you grab the lower white line, it allows you to tilt the desk. Okay. So that's what's going on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this desk down as low as I can. I think I'm going to move it over to the right some because I'm going to add more controls and stuff. Not too much, because I want to leave room for my sustain pedal, which of course we're going to need. My mod wheel and my pitch wheel, which of course we're going to need. Alright, so that's one layout. Matter of fact, since we're here, why not assign it? What I'm going to do is I'm going to select my keyboard, and in order for MainStage to recognize this keyboard and this keyboard only, my MIDI port needs to be selected. Now, I have the option to either select it from a list, or to do it the cooler way and hit assign, allow the assign button to stay lit, and just play some notes on the keyboard, and MainStage automatically recognizes it and assigns it to its necessary MIDI port. All right. I'm going to do the same thing for the rest of the controls just to make sure that everybody's copacetic. All right, so I'm going to assign my sustain pedal, my modulation wheel. Now don't be alarmed if you see more than one thing moving, because that just means that the other one hasn't been assigned yet. I'm going to assign pitch wheel. Also notice that if I click another controller and don't deselect the assign button stays lit. So if I accidentally come over here and hit the pitch wheel, it's going to automatically match. So what I'm going to need to do is just reassign it back to where I wanted it to initially. And then turn off assign mode. Now when I do this, all my controls are where they're supposed to be. All right? Don't want to keep stuck there. All right, now on to the second keyboard. Now I will admit and acknowledge that this is somewhat of a tedious process because you pretty much have to manually map each and every control the hard way. Now they have smart controls in MainStage, which is another thing, and I think I'm going to do a video on that another day. But either way, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to map the upper keyboard, which will be the Novation. Matter of fact, I'm not even using sustain pedal for this. So what I will do is match with pitch bend and some modulation. I'm going to delete that. Okay, now panel controls is where the fun happens. Here's what we need to do. Bring that down some. Now I have panel controls and I have group controls. Group control basically is the same thing, but they automatically give you, say for instance, they give you 8 knobs already mapped, or already grouped rather. So okay, I've got 8 knobs, now I've got 8 faders. I'm going to leave it at this for now, just so I can kind of get my point across. All right, so what I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm going to assign my 8 knobs just by selecting it and turning a knob on my keyboard. And as I turn it, the screen reflects that it's recognized. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to map my 8 faders. Same way. 1, backwards, whatever. The old-fashioned way, just select the fader, push it all the way down, all the way back up. All right, so now my faders are mapped, and I can move them all independently or together. Either way, MainStage recognizes them where they're supposed to be. All right, now, let's see. I want to make sure I have plenty of room. But nothing's really going to go below the keyboards. All right, so another thing I wanted to mention is the number of keys option. Since I'm using a 49 key controller, I can set this so that it'll only display 49 keys at a time. That makes it a little easier to see on screen, especially if you're going to be doing any type of zoning or anything to that effect. I haven't decided how I'm going to do this just yet, but this will be just fine. Just resize that, just so it fits a little better in the window. Now, there's all kinds of cool effects and stuff. You can change the panel layout, and, all kind of stuff like that. But we're not worried about that right now. But feel free to have fun with it. All right. And that's just by selecting the actual panel itself, not the control. If you select the panel, then you can change the way the panel actually looks. So you can get like a cool Oregon wood grain effect if you want, or you want to do some type of shelving or anything like that. The possibilities are endless. So again, feel free to have fun. All right, so here we go to the edit window. And as you'll see, I have 2 patches loaded. Right. Great. So that's all working well. So now it's time to have some fun. Now, another thing that I've gotten questions about is if I wanted to create a new patch and assign instruments can I assign them uh, to change independently of one another? And the answer to that question is kind of a yes and no. If you want to change one set of keywords without changing the other, the best way to do it, in my experience, has been to use sets. So if I create a new set, basically a set is a folder in MainStage, but basically if I create a set, I can create instruments at the concert level. And then what I mean by that is, here I'll demonstrate. So let's say I add um, 3 virtual instruments, and as you see, it gives you a pop-up window asking if you're sure that you want to create a channel strip at the set level. Basically, what that means is that when you change patches within this set, whatever you set at the concert level or at the set level rather, will not change. So that means that any audio inputs or any MIDI controls or anything like that that you set here will not change, and you're going to have to use the override option if you want to change anything or edit anything within the songs within the set. So I'm going to go ahead and create it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab just a piano. We'll just do a piano layer for now, so we will have some control and we can kind of demonstrate exactly how this works. Okay, let's see. Let's sync pad, why not? What's a good one? And how about strings? Now, those are some cool patches, but I don't like the blend. I think I want to turn that pad down and maybe bring the strings down a little bit. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to assign my faders. So I have 8 faders created. I'm just going to grab the first one in this case. I'm going to assign the first one to piano, and it works the same way as the assign button in layout mode. Basically, what you're going to do is select the control you want to map, click the map parameter button, and it does it automatically. All you have to do is click the fader you want to map to, turn this off, and then once I move my fader, my volume changes. Simple, right? And again, in the same fashion, if I select this, and then select this, and leave map parameter on, I can automatically map to everything. But just remember to go back and turn the map parameter off when you finish, because otherwise you're going to have a bad time. Trust me. All right, so now that my faders are mapped, I can all right, cool. So that's that. Now, let's get to have some fun, because we don't have anything on our top keyboard yet. So we need to change that. Let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 1, 2, 3 patches. All right. Now, as you'll see, when I select anything within this set, my bottom keyboard does not change. Awesome, right? When I leave the set, my bottom keyboard changes. All right. So this set has been assigned. These 3 instruments, rather, have been assigned to the set. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of my patches. I'm going to create 1 new audio instrument. I'm going to assign it to port 1, which is my top keyboard, and it sees it. So now, what needs to be done, let's find a, you know what I want? Let's find a nice flute. Alright, cool. So my first one's going to be flute. My second one can be, one nice simple lead. Alright, awesome, right? But again, it's a little loud, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign Now I can either map parameter or I can find the instrument on my left hand side in the list. And here it is. So that's my channel strip, and I can just select volume, and then when I move my force fader, it adjusts volume. Now, sidebar, I just want you guys to see this. You have a couple of parameters here in this window, and basically these parameters are awesome if you don't want your volume to jump suddenly. So if this volume is too high, and if I don't want to accidentally, that's pretty loud. So what I want to do is, in my volume window, I can set my range of motion for that fader. So if I don't want this fader to go all the way to plus 6 decibels, I can bring it down to maybe -10 or -9. So that way when I push my fader up to max, the volume only goes to -9.3. Make sense? Awesome, right? So cool. And then my third patch, I think I'll make it a organ or something. Let's see. Oops. All right, cool. So organ set. Let's see if we can't map some more controls. Why not, right? So since I'm in my organ, let's see. I can set, if I wanted to, I can set my knobs as drawbars or something like that. Matter of fact, you know what I think I'm going to do? I think what I want to do is I'm going to map this first knob to control multiple drawbars. This ought to be fun. So here's what I'll do first. I will start with this last drawbar, so that when I move this fader, now notice that when I turn the volume down, the drawbar comes out, and if I turn the knob up, the drawbar goes back in. And that's not the way I want it set up, so I want to reverse that. So what do? Well, back in my parameter mode, if I hit the invert parameter range switch, it literally inverts. So now when I turn my knob, it does the exact opposite of what it was doing before. So that's another cool function that has multiple uses. So feel free to have fun with that as well, because that's going to save your life one day, trust me. All right, now let's see. Just on my way. Here's what I want to do. I want to take this one knob and I want it to control multiple drawbars. So what do? I'm going to hit my plus sign down here in the screen control inspector. While this knob is still selected, I don't need to map that anymore. I'm going to hit plus. Now I'll go back and turn that back on. And I'll map it to another drawbar. Now chances are I'll have to invert it again. And I was correct. So all I do is check. And there we have it. So now, let's see. Next step is to add, matter of fact, you know what I want? Change my mind. Tell you what I'm going to do. So that way, if I want to, I could set another knob for a different set of drawbars. So I'll do the same thing. I'll kind of breeze through it, so stay with me. 1, 2, and 3. That's not, I didn't do that right. Let me try that again. You see what I did wrong there, right? Aha, there we go. Makes more sense. Go back and make sure that's inverted. And here's how I would navigate in between controls with these tabs here. So All right, so something is missing. Yes. All right, so all I did was go to rotor cabinet, and I can select what controller I want to use as my to control my speed, my Leslie speed. And in this case, I wanted to use my wheel. So my wheel toggle means that every time you touch the my wheel, it'll switch one way or another, but it won't stay if you release it. So since I'm using the joystick, I don't really want to use that function. And temp does kind of the same thing. Um, they're cool features, so like I said, mess with them. All right, so that is that. So now everything in my set is already complete. Oh, you know what I'm missing? I forgot one thing. So I need to go back to layout mode, go to panel controls, and I'm going to need a patch selector. Now again, I'm throwing this together. I highly recommend that you take a little time and straighten out your workspace because it's going to make all the difference. Just trust me. I prefer to use single column display. And if you display more, the more items you display, the smaller your list is. So I don't have that many items, but I still, if I wanted to, I can have them all laid out there. I can do dual columns, multiple sets, multiple patches. You can set it for markers. You can justify. You can even change the color. So if I wanted a blue, sure, why not? Now, another thing I think is important to mention is that you can change the color, appearance, layout of pretty much everything in MainStage. You can change the color of a lot of times. Matter of fact, you may have noticed in my other MainStage template, I use different colors to represent different items on screen, so that I can tell what's going on. And I'll also change, labels, etc., just to kind of reflect everything that's going on, so I can tell what exactly is happening in front of me. So a lot of times I'll do something like this just to represent on screen what exactly is going on, so that I can see that when I move the red fader, it's adjusting volume for piano, etc. Make sense? Awesome. That's not blue at all. All right, so that's pretty much that. I just wanted you guys to get an idea of exactly how you go about the basic layout. And again, like I said, once I change in here, my set instruments don't change. So that's the way you go about doing that. And if you wanted to create a new set with a whole new set of instruments, you can definitely do that as well. And that's the way that I go about it. And it makes sense for me, and it works out great. But again, the beauty of MainStage is the fact that the sky is the limit. You pretty much can do anything you want, the way you want. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the group. You already know. Hopefully this is helpful to somebody. Hopefully it blesses somebody. And for those of you going to church this morning, be blessed, be safe.